and welcome you all to the third of our film series, Created Equal. We've got a very special presentation tonight. The Created Equal is a film series sponsored by the National Endowment of Humanities and the Jill Dimmerman Institute of American History. The Detroit Historical Society and its Black Historic Sites Committee received a grant to put on this series, and I represent the society. All right, behind you, standing up there, is Ms. Kim Simmons, of the chair of our Black Historic Sites Committee. So it's our pleasure to bring this series to you. Today's discussion, or today's film and discussion part of what we're doing today is based on the film Freedom Riders, one of 4 powerful films funded by the National Endowment of Humanities that connect the stories of America's long civil rights movement. My apologies. The other films, we've shown The Abolitionists, Slavery by Unknown Name, we did last year, and wow, is it the weather? Last month, and next month we'll be featuring The Loving Story. All 4 of these films are deeply grounded in humanities scholarship. They tell a remarkable story about the importance of race in the making of American democracy, about the power of individuals to affect change, and about the historical context in which Americans have understood and struggled with ideas of freedom, equality, and citizenship. As part of the National Endowment of the Humanities Created Equal project, these films and the scholar presentations and discussions of their topics are intended to help us understand what happened in the past and how this past has influenced the America of today. We're going to start by watching a few clips from the Freedom Riders film to help kind of put the context together to talk about the struggles of America, of racial issues in America in mid-20th century, especially in regard to the theme, the strategy of nonviolence. And I know John has passed out a really great one-page document kind of explaining what is and what isn't nonviolence as a strategy. I found it very interesting. Then we're going to invite our very special guest speaker. I'll briefly introduce him now, but after we show the film clips, I'll give a proper introduction. Mr. John W. Hardy here, who has extensive experience as a freedom rider and working in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, well, late 1950s through 1960s in general. And I'm very excited. This will be the first time I get to hear his wonderful story, even though I've known John for a couple of years now. So it's exciting. So I'm glad. Thank you for coming. So, and then what we plan to do is I'm going to show you about 25 minutes of clips, and I have to tell you, this film, Freedom Riders, was funded by the NEH, and it's part of PBS's The American Experience. It's a 120-minute documentary, so it's a 2-hour documentary. And as I was going through trying to find 20 minutes of clips I could show you, I found it incredibly difficult because it is such a compelling story that's very linear. That starts, you kind of need to watch the whole thing to understand the movement. But that being said, I'm going to show about the beginning parts of the Freedom Ride movement, and then we'll have Mr. Hardy kind of talk about his involvement and talk about the civil rights movement as a whole during this time period. And then we kind of stage this, so he'll talk for about 35-40 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions, for discussion afterwards, and then hopefully it'll be a good evening. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back and show you the clips, just to kind of prepare you. Today's clips kind of cover the start of the Freedom Ride movement by Corps, and the firebombing on the first bus that went through Anniston. I should mention that their first Freedom Ride had 2 different buses, Trailways and Greyhound, that left Atlanta, as you probably know, to go to Birmingham. And the first bus, the one we're going to see, was firebombed outside of Anniston. The second bus, which I don't have the time to show you what happened to that one did arrive in Birmingham, and they were greeted by a mob of KKK, and many of the riders were beaten severely. So I just wanted to let you know that both those buses suffered. But I did want to show you the clip of the bus burning because it's particularly moving and very emotional. Then we'll talk about, then I'll show the clip that talks about how the Corps rides came to an abrupt end in Birmingham, and then kind of introduce the second wave of riders headed by the group from Nashville and Diane Nash, which Mr. Hardy's from Nashville, and then he'll kind of take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the clips. I'm just going to do them one after another, and then we'll